So, Nick, I thought that you and I would be able to talk about the results of what happened with Neera Tanden. And I'll be honest, I was predicting that those results were not going to be great. I was predicting she was going to get through. And I also predicted Bernie was probably going to vote for her. So those were my predictions. But as of right now, well, they postponed.
We love to see it, man.
They postponed.
We love to see it.
So they postponed her hearing, probably because the votes aren't there. Now here, this is kind of fun here. So according to this article from CNN, Chairman Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent who caucuses with Democrats and who clashed with Tanden in the past, personally informed Tanden on the phone Tuesday night about the committee's plan.
I wonder if he had a little swagger in his voice when he was talking to her.
Dude, I mean, you can't help but smile a little bit at that one, that he's like, Neera, wait, that was Obama. Neera, we're going to postpone it.
The left has taken so many L's this last year. We got to take these small victories when we can get them. And this is a glorious moment. And I said before, if there's a way that Neera Tanden can get denied this position, that'd probably be the most glorious day on the left since the Nevada caucus, right? Because it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year, but we need
a very rough year.
We need Neera Tanden to lose, and it will be devastating if she won with Bernie Sanders voting for her. I mean, I'm thinking about this. I'm being honest. I mean,
well, that was honestly my prediction. I predicted he was going to vote for her. Yeah, because he didn't say he wasn't going to. Like, he didn't say he wasn't going to, and yeah, I just think he was going to.
I don't understand the politics in that either. And I'm like, I'll be honest, guys, I call it as I see it. If like Bernie Sanders voting for Neera Tanden, that's like the biggest cut move in politics since Ted Cruz phone back for Donald Trump back in the day, because there's no one who's been nastier than our to our movement to Bernie Sanders and Neera Tanden. I mean, she literally smeared him as a Russian bot, and I was cracking up when they brought that up at the hearing. Neera Tanden. It was Lindsey Graham. I was trying to think of the guy who brought it up. I don't like Lindsey Graham. He's a piece of shit. Whatever.
Well, there was that other Republican. There was that other Republican that like grilled her. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but
maybe Hawley.
It might have been. But he like grilled her for a while, and he kept saying, "Do you mean them? Do you stand by them?" And she wouldn't say no. And then finally, she just owned up to it. She's like, "Yeah, I meant them." I meant them because
Lindsey Graham, he literally read the part where Neera Tanden called Bernie Sanders and all his supporters a Russian bot, and like right in front of their faces. And I'm like, that's one thing. That's one thing. But that's not even my top 5 reasons why you shouldn't post Neera Tanden.
Well, that's the thing. It is far, and I know, like, it goes far beyond her tweets, and it has been so exhausting these past few days when all these Neera Tanden apologists are making it out like, oh, you don't like her just because of her tweets. No. It goes far beyond that. She supported cutting Social Security. She's a warmonger. She wanted to go in Libya to steal oil. When people ask her questions about Iraq, she punches them. She's anti-Medicare for all. The list goes on and on. It's almost like she's on the wrong side of everything. She gets incredibly questionable funding from her Center for American Progress, which when they're saying progress, I think they're referring to the banks. I think that's the only institution they're trying to progress. So yeah, it goes far beyond tweets. And the other thing, everyone's, we might get somebody worse. None of the names that have been thrown out so far, that O'Leary woman and then that Sperling or whatever his name is, none of them would be worse than her. They're all just like Clinton, Obama people. So they wouldn't be great, but they wouldn't be worse than her.
This is why I don't understand. Like, why this fighting against corruption, that's not important to a lot of progressives no more for some reason. Because when you say Neera Tanden is not worse, are you saying that someone's more corrupt than her? Because when it comes to corruption, no one's more corrupt. Like, the focus isn't whether she's left or right. Like, you guys are misrepresenting the issue on purpose. Like, when they talk about the tweets, that's not an accident. That was a coordinated effort. A lot of blue checks guys. Cenk was making a clown of himself, literally pretending it was about her tweets. It's like, it's not about her tweets, and not about whether she's too left or right. Because they were saying that as well. Like, yeah, if Neera Tanden doesn't win, we're gonna get someone far to the right. I'm like, that has nothing to do with my complaints. I'm talking about corruption. Who has more conflicts of interest than Neera Tanden does? and she's literally gonna be head of OMB. Like that's corruption of the highest order. So you guys are misrepresenting the issue. And when Justice Democrats started, Justice Democrat, the entire point was they were supposed to stand up to corporate corruption, and now they stand up to the person who's literally the queen. She literally was the agent of Hillary Clinton. So I'm like, the tweets is one thing. I like to laugh that we finally got an internet bully. But let me put it like this, because you brought up a list of some horrible things she did. Now I can add on to that. Now imagine this with Trump and their people, right? Because I like to explain to people why I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. A lot of people they be like, how you can't say the Democrats are just like Donald Trump? Let me explain why. Imagine this. Imagine a reporter asking Donald Trump tough questions, and Kellyanne Conway punched that reporter. Can you imagine the media meltdown?
I mean, actually, yeah, I can, but I see what you're saying.
Imagine if there was a sexual harassment complaint lobby at Donald Trump, and then they outed the person who made that sexual harassment claim. That's Neera Tanden. That's who she is. That's Trumpism at its core. So when people say, how can you say the Democrat Party, how can you say Joe Biden, how can you say they are just like Trump? I'm like, look at their actions and pretend they're with Trump and how you would react. And that's to the core why I never overreacted and was like, okay, Trump is the worst thing ever. He's just part of the club. He's part of the team. He's part of what they do.
Well, so getting back to the news today, though, why do you think they delayed it? Do you think like they straight up don't have the votes, or do you think they're just maybe stalling because it's so in the public spotlight? They want to just let it simmer a little bit before they hold it. Like, what do you think?
The rumor was they was already looking for people to replace her after they were shut down by Joe Manchin. And then after Joe Manchin shut her down, there was rumors that they might be able to get votes from Susan Collins and Mitt Romney. Some reason the liberal class love those people. And then they shut that down. And so they were like, damn, we're really fucked now. I was ringing the alarm bells last night because I was celebrating for a while. And then I was thinking about it.
I know you were, and I was like, man, I want some of Nick's optimism over here. I was not. I mean, I said yesterday, I was just like, I think she's going to get through. I think Bernie's going to vote for her. And oh my God, please prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. I want to log in Wednesday morning and say I was wrong. I was proven, and I kind of was, but we don't know for sure yet.
I was asking people is there a good chance she's gonna get through? And like, I don't think she has the vote. So I was very excited at first, but then I was thinking last night, damn, I don't trust Joe Manchin. I don't trust that motherfucker at all. Because remember, he was saying he was gonna oppose Joe Biden on his relief checks and oppose him on COVID, but then he backed down on that eventually. Like, and I'm thinking about Joe Manchin. He's one of the biggest phonies of Washington because he always grandstands.
It's pretty bad.
He has a really bad, horrific voting record. Like, he voted for Trump most of the time. But there are a lot of times that when I think about when he perform in political theater where he pretends he's going to oppose the Democrats, and then last second he always votes with them on major things. He does this a lot. So I'm thinking like maybe he might switch his vote like last second. So that's why I'm like, I don't know, guys. I think I may have got to the side too far. I made that tweet late last night where I was like, yo, I actually don't trust Manchin. So I don't know. At first I was leaning towards she wasn't going to get it. And then I was like, all right, I actually don't know. They may were just trying to perform theater or whatever. But now it seemed like with this news coming out, now it kind of seems like she's actually is screwed now, because this is the reason why they usually do this is when they want to look for more candidates to replace her. So we'll see. We can only hope. My finger's going to be crossed that she doesn't get it.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're totally off base with questioning Manchin. I mean, because, yeah, he is one of the, I mean, he's kind of the worst of the worst, but also, he's a right-wing guy. And if you're right-wing, so is she. Like she's a great, like politically, where are you all that different from her? And I'm pretty sure Manchin, his opposition to her was because of, was because she was mean to Republicans. And then, he mentioned Bernie too, as a side note, but he didn't like the fact that she was like mean on Twitter to Republicans.
All the opposition to Neera was literally for the worst reasons. I'm like, they're not even focused on
from elected officials. It was, from elected officials. It was, which, man, isn't that a testament to like where we're at as a
Yeah.
nation, where we're rooting for a horrible person to do the right thing for all the wrong reasons, but nonetheless we'll take the win. Like, we're hoping Joe Manchin, somebody horrible, does the right thing for all the wrong reasons, but still he's doing the right thing. We'll take it.
I was watching hearing for a little bit, and I just caught the part. I was very lucky 'cause I didn't watch a lot of it. When I said I only watched probably like 25 minutes in my downtime while I was preparing a meal or something, and I just so happened to caught the part where Josh Hawley was on, and I was sick to my stomach because I'm from Missouri. I live in Missouri. Josh Hawley is my senator. I have absolutely no love for Josh Hawley, but it was Josh Hawley who was calling out Neera Tanden for Wall Street ties and her corruption, and he was quoting Bernie Sanders. So when it happened, I'm like, oh, I got deep conflict. I don't like this. I don't, and that's the position we're at right now. As a left, being a leftist is like being constantly let down by public figures, and that's what we have to go through right now. I would love, and I tweeted this shortly before and shortly after the election. I'm like, I've been critical of Bernie Sanders and AOC and the squad, but I would love nothing more for them to be the number one opposition to Joe Biden and his administration moving forward. That will kind of help redeem them, in my eye, for campaigning for someone who's staying against all their values. But unfortunately, they kind of more apologizing for him instead of doing that. So being left is just being let down over and over again by people. So we gotta take the wins when we get them. That's why I said I don't like Hawley, but when you see Neera Tanden have to face her corruption, like we gotta take that moment when we can get it. Whenever we get a chance to get victory over these people who push these policies that go directly against what we believe in, I think we should take it. I think we should be happy about it too. I love the celebration part of it.
Well, I think we also have to recognize that it's like we're not represented politically. Like lefties in the United States aren't represented politically, and it's been that way, well, for both of our lifetimes and beyond. I mean, you were saying like earlier, it's been a tough year. Like man, it's been a tough 50 years. like for lefties in this country. I mean, it's pretty much. I mean, the last victory, if you're being generous, was maybe the 60s. I mean, maybe even further back than that. When you think about it. I mean, yeah, society has progressed some, and that's a good thing. But overall, in like politics and I mean, we're just not represented at all. And what has changed between 2016 and now is that for the first time we realized, oh, wait a second, there's more of us than we realized. There's actually a lot of us. Crazy. We're not crazy. We deserve to be represented politically. It's not that like, oh, I was just, I just feel this way and most people in my country don't. So I just have to try to change some people's minds and hopefully someday that's different. It's like, wait a second. No, it's a little more sinister than that. A lot of people think the way I do. Not everybody, granted, but a lot of people. The media is bullshitting us. Surprise, surprise. And we deserve some representation in government. But because of this corrupt duopoly where Wall Street owns both parties, we don't have it. So guess what? We got to break that duopoly. Like, that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, we, like you said, you hit the nail on the head perfectly. We never had that representation, and I always have fun making fun of boomers. And I mean, that's kind of what the highlight of my first article was, while I was talking about how black boomers led up off a cliff. But despite all the times I tried boomers, I always say and let sure people know that I got a ton of respect, a ton of admiration and love for boomers who are still lefties.
Because there's a lot of great lefty boomers out there, man.
Because think about it. Yeah, think about it. So if you're a lefty boomer, that means you went through decades and decades of propaganda, decades of being gaslit about why you're crazy. And they didn't have the internet. Like our generation was lucky enough where we had the internet. We're like, all right, I guess we're not as crazy as we thought we was. We may be a little bit crazy, but not as crazy. They didn't have no way to connect. Like they would live in, like some people, I talked to some people that my friends, they live in bumfuck like Indiana or some shit. And they had no one to talk to, and they just had this instinct that of left wing politics, and they were sympathetic to left wing politics for whatever reason. And they went through decades and decades of propaganda, and then they finally found movement, and now they stay out here fighting. So I got a lot of respect for them. So I always like to bring up. I love shitting on boomers. I think they're the worst generation of all time. They let off a cliff. Literally, my whole article is about how black boomers ruined the status of our youth because black boomers sold us out to the police state. But that's what my article talks about. So I love talking about boomers, but you gotta understand, left boomers are the real comrades. They're the real ones. When I was canvassing in South Carolina, I'll make it short. I met a guy, an OG leftist, who voted for Jesse Jackson. He was driving around the country in the Bernie van. We getting mocked and yelled at by rednecks. We got yelled at before. We had a van that literally said socialism on it. Fuck Trump. And they were like, and people lose their mind. Like, yeah, boy, whatever. This is what I do. They are hardcore, and I got a lot of respect for them. But
totally, man. I mean, every generation has, like good folks that are part of it and bad, like disconnected people, and the boomers, of course, are no exception. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of lefty boomers out there, and they've been, they kind of paved the way for the rest of us. I mean, that they were kind of the people that, they were standing with Abby Hoffman, and history has been rewritten, to really pat a lot of these liberals on the back who, at the end of the day, they weren't the people who were actually fighting those fights that has pushed society forward. It was a lot of the lefty boomers who have been written out of it. So yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I make fun of every single generation, my own included.
Same here.
I make fun of everybody. I mean, I've gotten some hate mail from various people before, and I'm like, dude, I make fun of every generation, the boomers, the millennials, Gen X, even although Gen Z, I got a lot of love for the Zoomers and Gen Z, but I make fun of them too. I don't understand all your music, you crazy kids. So
yep. And to the point you made earlier, the reason why I brought that up because it's like we finally had semblance of representation now, and the reason why I've been ringing alarm bells and the reason why I've been critical of our leaders because like we had when you look at the Neera Tanden thing to bring back to Neera. You had lefties and progressives from all over. You had progressive and leftists I didn't even agree with. Everyone on Twitter saying Bernie shouldn't vote for Neera. Everyone is pleading with Bernie. Please do not vote for Neera. So the only question I want to pose, and I can drop it here, for people who get upset with me when I criticize progressive politicians, why is it okay for them to say fuck you like this when it comes to issues like this? And I'm not talking about forced vote because this is just another example. They're forced to vote. There's the issue of Julian Assange. There's the issue of Neera Tanden. So there's more, but I just take these three. If they're supposed to represent us and we're their constituents, why is it okay for them to say fuck you to us on these three important issues? At what point does this become unacceptable when they no longer listen to us and they become more loyal to the party? And that's the question I always want to ask. That's why this Neera Tanden vote, that's kind of revealing as well. I understand the politics, but I understand the concept of inside-outside game. That I think I understand the concept, but the inside game not doing their job. It's literally that simple. Like even if I agree with you on your strategy, which I think there's some merits to it, I would say the people on the inside is not doing their job. That's my criticism of what I think is going on.
Yeah, and people make it out like that's an unfair thing, and it really isn't. I mean, if you are, a progressive who is an elected official and you really do stand for those principles, you are outnumbered. Yeah, I'll give you that. But that means whenever you have a little bit of leverage, you have to use it to the utmost. And it also means, you got to make your colleagues uncomfortable a lot of the time. That's not an easy thing to do, but that's what you were elected to do. Yeah, that's what people elected you to do. That's what your base expects from you. And if you're not going to do it, well, then why are we like, what's the point then? Just so you can tweet nice things? Just be an activist. If all you're going to do, and I don't mean it like that, just because I actually think that activists are way more important than politicians 1,000% of the time. But I'm just saying, like, if you're just going to like stand for good principles and tweet nice things, just be an activist. Like, why make a bunch of people hustle to vote for you and put you in office if you're not gonna, challenge your colleagues and push your colleagues who are, your fellow people in office. So yeah, I'm with you 110% on that one. Like, I don't, I think that.
And let me say this, Ron. I actually very sympathetic to, like, a lot of people got misconceptions about me. Like, I'm actually sympathetic to your guys' argument. I'm telling you guys what you gotta do to be successful, even if I disagree. Because I actually agree with having an outside left force, like a third party. I'm very supportive of that. Even like I don't understand the criticism of that, because even if you're supportive of taking over the Democratic Party. In order to do that, you need a left-wing force. So I'm like, people, I don't understand. I don't understand. People don't understand it. But even if I agree with your topic, I'm telling you what you got to do to be successful. And the point I was making during the Force the Vote campaign and during the Neera Tanden vote, and when it comes to Julian Assange, I'm saying there's an adverse effect that hurts them by not doing that. Because how are you getting your campaign money? How are you getting your volunteers? You're not like corporate Democrats. Apparently, you're not taking corporate money. So you're not getting funded from Wall Street. Your campaigns are being funded by grassroots activists and people that knock on your door. I volunteered for Bernie. I quit my job and went multiple states campaigning for Bernie Sanders. Right. So if I see you not acting the way where I believe you're not representing me, I am less likely to do stuff like that. I already hear people, and once again, this is not me just saying this. I'm friends with a ton of activists, and there are a lot of people that are saying I'm not gonna fucking canvas. I'm not gonna donate to them no more.
Oh, dude, I'm one of them. I'm one of them, Nick. I mean, I said after, and I certainly don't regret, anything that happened. Well, I mean, 2020 was a shit show. I have no regrets. But after it, I kind of looked around and I'm like, okay, I think electoralism is in such a dire situation. I understand it is part of the toolkit of change, but it is just one piece. Exactly. There are a lot of other pieces. We over amplify electoralism, and I'm tired of it. And I want to start to migrate away from that. And one of the decisions I made was that all my bandwidth, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to have people running for office on my show or anything like that. Of course, I'll still do all those things. But as far as my bandwidth that I have to extend as financially and just as a volunteer and as anything else, it's 100% causes. It's 0% electoralism. Exactly. And that doesn't mean I don't like. I mean, there's a lot of people who are running for office that I think are amazing, and I want to see them win 110%. It's just
100%.
I would rather be pushing for municipal broadband, pushing for net neutrality on campaigns like that. Pushing for helping out in my community, getting involved in mutual aid. We've been having a lot more mutual aid people on this show. One of them lives in my neighborhood in San Pedro. I'm trying to get involved with everything she's got going on. So, I mean, to me, that's just, I'd rather spend my bandwidth there. Quite frankly, too, I mean, honestly, you feel better doing it. I mean, you just feel way better knowing that you helped a food insecure person get something to eat. Then you will knocking on someone's door trying to convince them to vote for somebody. And we need people to do that stuff. I'm not knocking people who are more involved with electoralism. All power to you. But dude, for me, I'm just like, you know what? I'm better suited somewhere else.
And this is my point, though. That's my point. If they did stuff, if they actually listened to the constituents, there'll be less people feeling that way because they will actually see merits in doing that. This is why people who get mad at me, they're missing the point for putting pressure on them, because I'm actually giving you good advice. Your ego is just too big to accept it. Because I'm like, if people see you, because
tell them that'll make them less mad.
It really is. It's all ego. It's because they want to justify why they're still a member of this horrific party that is complicit with the same crimes the Republicans are. So they tell themselves shit like they're working on a lesser two evils, and we're actually making for change, even though nothing is changing, even though we still got kids in cages, even though we still not going back to the Iran deal.
Nick, they're not kids in cages anymore. They're not kids in cages. They're unaccompanied minors. Okay, Nick, get it right. They were kids in cages. Now they're just unaccompanied minors.
Man, I want to go crazy.
It's different now.
I'm going to turn to the Joker by the end of these next 4 years, man. Like I said, it was going to happen. The only thing I have, guys, is I told you so. I'm sorry. So that's only after this last year of nothing but losses. That's all I have. So indulge me. I told you guys they was going to do this. I told you guys nothing because there's a lot of people don't even understand the basic premise of what made me a leftist in the first place. Like people say, we're gonna push Biden left. You understand that go against the premise that made me a leftist in the first place? You know what made me a leftist? What got me out of the two-party duopoly is when I realized that there's a permanent state and we operate on the apparatus where the presidents don't really get to change big shit like that. So when Joe Biden was saying, all right, we're gonna make sure we get back in our Iran deal, we're not gonna be insane on Iran like Donald Trump was, I'm like, I'm skeptical, because that seemed like that's more of a state decision than a president decision, because what Trump was doing was essentially the same thing the military-industrial complex wanted to do. So when Joe Biden said he's going to not do that, I'm like, okay, I'm skeptical. So then we got in, and Iran literally saying this last week, he's like, bro, their foreign policy literally the same as Trump. They're not easing sanctions. They're not getting back in the deal. And if anyone remember, Joe Biden's campaign promise was day one, he was getting back to the Iran deal. Not I'm gonna play these games with Iran and puff up my chest and go warmonger with China as well on top of that. So once again, that's just another example. I don't want to go on too long of a tangent. That's just another example. It's like, bro, these people, they use, I say ego earlier because they got to justify why they support.
You think it's ego or do you think it's fear?
It's a little bit.
Or do you think it's both? I mean, because look, man, I think a lot of people,
a little bit,
they do want systemic change. I really do feel that way. And I think, we're not always going to agree 100% on strategy. People have forgotten, first of all, that that's okay. You don't have to agree 100% on strategy, and you can try different things and you can kind of see what works and what doesn't and keep trying to move forward. And hell, man, when you've been losing nonstop for about 50 years, I think we should try different things. It's like, why not be open to some different ideas when we've been doing nothing but losing for about 50 years?
The reason I'm bringing that up because I'm saying my original point to go back was we need AOC burning squad to do these things, to speak up on Julian Assange, to not vote for Nancy Pelosi, to vote against Neera Tanden, because we need that active engagement. And it's not like Joe Biden's doing what they say is going to happen, because Bernie Sanders said on day one we're going to put Joe Biden to the left, and literally the exact opposite is happening. Like, I can't. It's unbelievable.
So Nick, you don't think that you give somebody what they want from you and then they'll compromise with you? You don't think life works that way? You don't think we can give Joe Biden our votes, which is what he wanted from us, and then he's going to change? You don't think it works that way? Crazy.
And it's funny, the people that were screaming that you guys have no idea how to leverage your power. It's funny how we were being proven right as time goes on. Because we like, as Joe Biden continued to abandon his promises, I'm like, okay, that's exactly what we knew was going to happen once you give up all your power to begin with. And now we have no left-wing flank that's actually challenging Biden in any substantive way. The fact that they even entertained the idea, I mean, I was shocked by this. I didn't see that coming, honestly. I didn't see it coming. Seeing progressives apologize for Neera Tanden. Now that was like, okay, something is fucked up now. Like something is really wrong. When I saw them voting for Nancy Pelosi, and once again, that had nothing to do with forced to vote. Like, I'm not like, I actually, my stand was, I don't think you should vote for Nancy Pelosi altogether. But that wasn't my thing. Like, all right, you should vote against Nancy Pelosi because she's corrupt. That's what I brought up earlier. It's corruption. It's not about whether you left or right, whether you support Medicare for all. And I think it's about the corruption. So I think my stance was you should vote against Nancy Pelosi because of her inside trading. And because of the way she handled the COVID relief, where she was literally playing politics over giving people checks. Like, these are the reasons why we don't vote for her. But I'm like, all right, if you're going to vote for her, at least get Medicare for all. that was my position. But I'm like, if you don't do stuff like that, you give people reason to tune out. And that only hurts you. So that's why I was saying ego, to bring it all back. That's why I was saying ego, because they can't even acknowledge that. Well, I'm saying I'm not criticizing you because I hate you. I'm criticizing you because you're wrong. like you're just wrong in your approach. And because if you... They believe that if they fought against Nancy Pelosi, if they fight against Neera Tanden, that would hurt them in the long run. And how does that make sense, Ron? Well, we just explained how they losing volunteers, they losing people who want to donate to their campaign to otherwise. Do you think the Pete Buttigieg supporter, the average Elizabeth Warren, bourgeoisie, liberal white wine mom going to be out there canvassing for you? No. If you look at Georgia, exactly. How did they win Georgia? I was losing my mind because A1 was trying to pretend Stacey Abrams had anything to do with that. And I'm not going to throw away anything that Stacey Abrams apparently did. But I think what she did was overrated because there were people that saying there were literally large networks of volunteers, like Bernie Sanders Slack members in Georgia, who were organizing and helped them win the Senate seat. Bernie Sanders came out for Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. So people like Stacey Abrams, reason why they won. I think the young grassroots activist who was on the ground is the reason why they won. So now
there's the promise. There was the promise of the $2,000 checks, which we're still waiting on that one. And when they don't deliver, which it looks like they're not going to, I mean, they're getting ready for a bloodbath in 2022. And this is how it works. And this is why, like, I don't see how anyone fantasizes that the duopoly can continue. It just can't. Because they have this really nice setup where the Democrats are completely ineffective. The Republicans are a special brand of repulsive. and they rely on that from each other. The Republicans rely on the ineffectiveness of the Democrats so that they can keep getting elected. The Democrats rely on the repulsiveness of the Republicans so that they can keep getting elected. And the insanely ridiculous neo-fascist and neoliberal cycle continues. And you got to break the chain.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and